Charge ఉందా?
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Pranam. Pranam, Pranam. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. The 6th chapter, Atma Samyama Yoga. When we were just going through it, then only we came to know, or we were reminded, that why Papa is asking us to go in for Mauna sessions. Right from Guru Purnima day, now we must have conducted about 5. 5. Next month it will be 6th. Practically we had no idea about how to move about. And why did he do that? Every now and then we used to feel Papa was resorting to solitude, and when we started coming from mid-60s to ashram, whenever possible we used to spend some time in Papa Samadhi Mandir, where no other activities were there. We take a small book, go there, sit there, read for 5 to 10 minutes, then try to dwell upon it. Whenever we felt sleepy, we used to do the pradakshina of the Mahasamadhi. Spend about half an hour, 1 hour as every time. Even then we did not know about this inward journey. Practically he initiated us to this inward journey without our knowing that we are doing inward journey. The effect of which remained there. But later on, the prompting was not there to conduct such programs. Everybody will be satisfied with chanting and going on. But this Guru Purnima day, just prior to that, unless and until we do some inward journey, because Papa has been telling that along with chanting, we must also bring in, side by side, the attributes, Otherwise, the mind may go. So when we were watching ourselves, we enjoy the chanting period, but after the chanting is over, no much deep impact in our thoughts, words, and deeds. So that is because we have not been able to dwell on the attributes. So to dwell on the attributes, we have to periodic. Huh?
But Mama, please put off your mic. I'll go switch off from there. Switch off. Over.
So periodical such sessions might help us to get more and more clarity on the attributes of the Lord whose name we are chanting. In order that we get more and more clarity, today he is driving out to the 6th chapter. Whatever a sadhaka may be doing, unless it is channelized properly, the result of it is very difficult to emerge. It may be there, but to emerge. So this is very, very, very important for a sadhaka's life. Atma Samyama Yoga. We have to have some do's and don'ts. We have to have some discipline. Otherwise, the mind, the outgoing tendencies of the mind will never permit us to dwell on him, which we know very well. Outwardly, we may be doing the disciplines, but the impact of it is not much felt. Maybe there in some measure. Who is Ram? Whose name we are chanting? Where is he? What is he? All those things, if we don't do that, the chanting might, it has slipped, not why might. An exercise, outward exercise, in which also we find some joy. Otherwise, we will not do it. But assurance is there, nothing will go in vain. So this is the background. And let us try to go through the stanza this time, not in Vande Bharata style, because very important for all of us. So we will slowly read, and then let us see how it impacts in our sadhana. The 6th chapter provides guidance for aspirants to overcome internal struggles and achieve inner peace and bliss. Provides guidance. It outlines stages of self-discipline, emphasizing actions performed without selfish desires to purify the mind and control desires. The yogi strives for mental concentration in solitude with a focus on meditation and physical discipline, such as regulated eating, sleeping, celibacy, to cultivate self-control and inner strength. The aspirant must steady the restless mind through consistent practice, abhyas, and dispassion, vairagya, avoiding attachment to sensory objects. Meditation leads to a vision of universal love, perceiving the eternal self in all beings and fostering harmony. Sri Krishna highlights the yogi's superiority over mere renunciants, intellectuals, or action-driven individuals. The ultimate state transcends perfection in yoga, where the yogi adores the Supreme Lord as the universe's controller, attaining absolute peace and bliss through devotion. These are all some of the thoughts that welled up when we were going through it. We will go by slokas. He who performs his bounden duty without depending on the fruits of action. He is a sannyasin and a yogin, not he who is without, that means has renounced fire and without action. Normally, a sannyasi is not supposed to cook and eat, that's why called fire. He should only accept the bhiksha. So, on those days, they were very strict about all this. So, who is perfect? Those who don't expect any fruit of action are equal to a sannyasi or a jnani. Sannyasa and Karma Yoga are in effect one and the same. Number 3, to the contemplative soul, to attain purification of heart leading to concentration, action is said to be the way. For such a person, when he has attained such concentration, inaction is said to be the way. For a Muni, this is the sloga. Arurakshor Muner Yogam Karma Karanamuchyate Yogarudasya Tasyaiva Shama Karanamuchyate. For a Muni or a sage who wishes to attain to yoga, yoga means union with God, action is said to be the means. For the same sage who has attained to yoga, inaction is said to be the means. In the beginning, we are merely workers in the world. Workers means desire prompted and ego driven. We sweat and toil, weep and sob. When an individual gets tired of such activities, he comes to desire to mount the steed of his mind. Such an individual, desiring to bring the mind under his control and ride over it, Aruraksha, takes up to himself the same work as before, but without his ego and his egocentric desires. Such desireless activity is undertaken in the yajna spirit, explained earlier, cleans the mind of its past impressions, integrate the entire inner equipment. When thus the required amount of concentration has been gained by the individual as a result of the vasana purgation effected, he is to stop his activity slowly, apply himself more and more to live in deeper meditation. When once his mind has been conquered and his agitations have become well controlled, the seeker in that state of mental growth and development is termed as having mounted the steed of the mind, Yogaruda. To such an individual, Sama is the means for gaining a higher perfection and self-growth. By thus describing two means at the two distinct stages of the individual's growth, it is meant that they are not contradictory. We involve ourselves in action. We try to purify that action. When we try to purify that action, we try to bring in the God dimension. The more we concentrate on the God dimension, automatically our mind gets it on God thought. Automatically the withdrawal from the action also takes place. So we start with action. Beautiful. These are all practical. When we are outside in our professional period, or when we are grihasthas, when we are professional, we are social being, we go there and do activities. By and large, it is motivated for our own existence plus some mental satisfaction. But when we come to a place like ashram, when we take up any seva, there is no material gain here. And we, every now and then, the Guru reminds us that he has provided this wonderful opportunity for some a few days, for some a few weeks, for some a few months or years. So though activities are going on, whether outside or inside the ashram, we try to bring in the God dimension. God through my Guru drew me here and provided me a field so that it will help me to become aware of his presence. And the more we try to move, then automatically the activities get stopped and we revel in that and we enjoy bliss. Beautiful. This is how this particular chapter. So our Mauna session is for helping for that we should know. To the contemplative soul, number 4. When there is no attachment either to sense objects or to action, having renounced all sankalpas, then is one said to have risen to yoga state. No attachment either to sense objects or to action. Automatic. There are many things. Yeah.
Oh, Falguni.
Could you please read the previous again?
Third sloka, she wants me to read again.
Which one? Yeah. We will read. For a Muni or sage who wishes to attain to yoga, action is said to be the means. Because right from when we started knowing as an individual, we are plunging into various activities in a day, So one fine morning to stop, no. Nowadays, we for the past two sessions, unknowingly, the prompting came to include a seva session. Not simply sitting and watching or intellectual. There is also an activity there. And we were really thrilled in these 2 sessions. Everyone was taking part dexterously, efficiently, at the same time, without looking here and there, and each one was concentrating on that particular seva. Without any fuss, without any talking. It was a practical demonstration. How normally we make such a big fuss even for a trifle. We call somebody, we make, it is not all right, this is all right, we have not been provided. Something will be there, some grumbling, some complaint, some sound. But during these 2 sessions, we found not a word came out from any of the participants, and everybody was doing it as efficiently as possible, without making any noise, without looking at another, without any complaints. Yeah. So all these things are demonstrated here before we try to go through that. So it's a means for a Muni or sage who wishes to attain to yoga. Yoga means union with God. Action is said to be the means for the same sage who has attained to yoga. Inaction is said to be the means. Because he rests himself. In the beginning, we are merely workers in the world, meaning desire prompted and ego driven. We sweat and toil weep and sob. When an individual gets tired of such mind, such activities, he comes to desire to mount to the steed of his mind, Arudha. Such an individual desiring to bring the mind under his control and ride over it, takes up to himself the same work as before, but without his ego and his egocentric desires. Such desireless activities undertaken in the yajna spirit cleanse the mind of its past impressions and integrates the entire inner equipment. This was practically demonstrated for the past 2 sessions. It is not a tall talk. The only thing is we must do that, that's all. When thus the required amount of concentration has been gained by the individual as a result of the vasana purgation effected, he is to stop his activity slowly, apply himself more and more to live in a deeper meditation. When once his mind has been conquered and his agitations have become well controlled, the seeker in that state of mental growth and development is termed as having mounted the steed of the mind. To such an individual, at that state of his mental equipoise and self-application, sama is the means for gaining a higher perfection and self-growth. Action, total involvement, somehow the me and mine is not there because we are not competing with anybody, we are satisfied with everything, and then we come back and sit. That's samatvam. Then, similarly here, work without self is healthy for the beginner, but a developed seeker needs more and more quietude and self-withdrawal for growing in his steady contemplation of the life within. Earlier, work without self is the means. Afterwards, work on self. Work with self, work without self, that's small self. In English, the advantage is small s can be immediately individual self. Big stands for the Atman. So here he says, work without self, egocentric, without, is the means. Afterwards, work on self. That is the means. And the process is continued until, working or not working, through meditation, it is realized that the self alone is the essence of the ego, in the ego, which till then was recognized as the only reality. This sentence, we will request you to kindly ponder over. Very, very, very important. When this process is continued,
which shloka number is this, Swamiji?
Which number is shloka? Which shloka number?
Third. You may not get it. I am reading for some other commentary. Unless you hear it and concentrated hearing is necessary. This particular portion is very important. Forget about seeing at the screen. I will read again once again. Work without self is healthy for the beginner. That is, self means self-centered. But a developed seeker needs more and more quietude and self-withdrawal for growing in his steady contemplation of the life within. That is the relevance of Mauna. Earlier, work without self, without self-centered activity, is the means. Afterwards, work on self, capital S, work on Atman, is the means. That means, initially I involve myself in activities, and afterwards I involve on the one which is prompting me to take up activities. First I am one with the activity, then it should lead to the power within me who is making me to involve in activity. Slowly the focus is shifted. And the process is continued until, working or not working, through meditation it is realized that the self alone is the essence in the ego. Even the sense of individuality is in the self is there in him. That the self alone is the essence in the ego, which till then was recognized as the only reality. I was not recognizing the Atman. Atman is in the sense of individuality. I was not recognizing it. Now I am trying to recognize it. So this is the, so through action we lead to inaction. Inaction leads us to this. Not merely inaction. Again our inward journey. Then 4. When there is no attachment either to sense objects or to action, having renounced all sankalpas, then one is said to have risen to yoga state. No attachment to sense objects or to actions. Actions are there, but there is no attachment. 5 and 6. Raise yourself, this is also very important. We cannot blame anybody. Raise yourself by yourself. Don't let yourself down for you alone. Sorry. I'll read the Uddared Atman Atmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaivi Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripur Atmanaha. Let a man lift himself by his own self alone, capital S, and let him not lower himself. For this self alone is the friend of oneself, and this self alone is the enemy of oneself. As a complete Shastra, with the right method, had there been a packet method, we should have a packet yoga explained in our scriptures. For our rishis were exhaustive in their treatment of the science of self-protection, perfection. If at all some great saints of today are sending prasadams, it is not to be considered and misconstrued that those packets are atmic powder which can be rubbed in through the skin between the eyebrows. With the right mental attitude, if we approach them and make use of them, certainly we can gain a certain amount of mental equipoise and self-confidence which can be intelligently applied in our self-effort. So bhavana is in. Man should uplift himself by himself is the open statement declared by no less a person than Lord Krishna himself. Not cooed in a playful mood in the company of Gopinis and Jamuna banks. Huh?
The Atmani Atmanam, the self-motivation, அது நம்மளுக்கு enemy புரியுது.
வருது பார்க்குறோம். Let's go through this. We might get some clarity. Man should uplift himself by himself. We can take it in so many. We go to some temple or guru, they give us something, we have got faith, devotion, and afterward what happens? That devotion or faith does not stay with us. If it is concretized faith and devotion, it will have its own effect. Later on, when we deal with so many events and individuals, when this does not, we may be relying on the outer factor. Anything that happens, we go to the outer factor. So that is why Krishna here wants, God is seated within you, you rely on Him, not on anything outside. Papa has been blunt in so many places about this. So that is what is meant here. Not relying on anything external. Man, if he wants to exalt himself into his greater cultural and spiritual possibilities, now lying dormant in him, he has to raise the lower in himself to the greater perfection that is the true and eternal central core in himself. Everyone has in himself a picture of the ideal. This intellectual conception of ourselves is always very vivid in each one of us. But unfortunately, this ideal remains only in the realm of thought, not in the world of activity. Intellectually, we may have a clear and vivid picture of what we would be, what we should be. But mentally and physically, we behave as though we are the opposites of our own ideal concepts. The diverse between the idealistic me and the actual me is the measure of man's fall from his perfection. 80% of us are generally unconscious of this dualism in ourselves. We mistake ourselves to be the ideal and are generally blind to our own actual imperfections. Thus we find that a notoriously selfish man in society warmly and sincerely criticizing the slightest traces of selfishness in his neighbor. In a world of within ourselves, if we clearly watch, we can discover that intellectually we have a clear concept of morally strong, ethically perfect, physically loving, socially disciplined ideal pictures of the man that we should be. But in the mental zones of our emotions and feelings, we are translated by our own attachments, likes, dislikes, loves, hatred, appetites, passion, that we behave like somebody by the wayside gutters and ever quarreling with others for the same over dry and empty bones. No. So the idea is, what Swamiji is trying to picturize is, we have an ideal, but we are not living up to it. For anything and everything, we rely on external factors, especially on spiritual matters. So that ultimately it is for the aspirant himself to accept the responsibility for blessing or damning himself. The potentiality for improvement. There is a quotation of Papa here. Ultimately, it is for the aspirant himself to accept the responsibility for blessing or damning himself, the potentiality for improvement, the chances for self-growth, the strength to haul ourselves from our own misconception in us, are all ever open for employment. But it all depends upon how we make use of them. To know easily, in an ashram, people go there, many people go there. Many people go there with devotion, with faith. But how many do sincerely go through? Many people are coming to our ashram. How many do they come to us? What for this ashrams? What is the ideal of this ashram? How is it connected to our daily life? How many? This is what is meant. If we try to ponder deep into it, we are making use of the purpose for which God has drawn us here. Otherwise, we are not. Merely looking at it, no. The manana should go along with our activity. This is a very beautiful slogan. We are all chanting Ram Nam. Why we have not been able to go intensely? Everybody will say that is also His will, as if we have understood what is His will. No. We have not understood His will. Somebody said, Papa said it is his will, that is one. We have borrowed that word and just repeating it. But if we have realized it, we will not utter that word. Because it is his will, we don't have to advertise, we don't have to bring in that word. Accepting every situation as it is, that is accepting his will. Think. So this is, there could be so many interpretations for this particular stanza, but it's very, very important for all of us. Raise yourself. Any pair of opposite does not have sway over a person who is self-controlled and serene. Any pair of opposite. Even if somebody insults, even that all we have seen, we would have seen many people, how coolly they don't accept it. But we have to apply our mind, then only we will become that, Just seeing will not help. Praising it not help. Recognizing the quality in them will not help. Unless there is an effort on my part to live up to. And then, those who are steadfast in knowledge and wisdom, whose senses are conquered, everything is equal to them, whether gold, earth or stone. Those who are steadfast in knowledge and wisdom. So that means getting more and more stabilized in it. Gold, earth or stone, everything has come only after I start identifying it. Before I start identifying, he is with me, If he is not there, how will I identify this? So when I get rooted in that, I will be equal to them. One who looks with equal vision on all types of person, friendly or unfriendly, attains excellence. Because each one is made to behave like that. Nice to read here. The moment we go out of the session, when somebody behaves something, get immediately upset. Doesn't matter. Let it be an outside ripple. Let it not go deep down. Our sadhana should enable us not to take it deep down. That particular moment there was some ripple, forget about it. So these are all practical clues. Retiring into solitude with mind and body subdued. Practice concentration of the mind, free from all anxiety of hope and possession, are the characteristics of a yogi. So retiring into solitude with the mind. Even in a day, suppose we set apart 5 minutes or 10 minutes. These are practical clues. And once in a year, suppose we take a break for 10 days or 15 days where we don't involve in anything. We are trying to get stabilized in it. Wherever we go, where we are not known. That would be the ideal place. Because when we are known, somebody may ask something, then we may tell and we will forget about the purpose for which we have gone. So suppose we prefer a place where we are not known much. And then if anybody at all asks, we say we are observing silence or something like that. And we try not to involve in activities and try to go more and more. In our own place, it may be slightly difficult. So 11, 12, 13, 14. Physically and mentally, how to tune ourselves with meditation is explained elaborately in 3 slokas, traditional way. That is why in our Mauna session we have varieties, We are trying to watching our thoughts, watching the breathing, watching the hearing. What more? One more is there, Huh?
Walking steps.
No, walking. In sitting session, there are 4 sitting sessions.
Reflecting on the true self.
Reflecting on the two. No. First, I tell you, thoughts. We are watching the thoughts. Last one. Then breathing. Then we are concentrating on the functioning of the at least a few, like the heart, the digestive, the blood circulation, because outside there is no activity. We are watching means bereft of activity, So these 4, breathing. And suppose we start watching, how does 1 lakh times, how does it go? Who is behind it? Like that. So there are so many methods. And in walking, we try to concentrate upon every step. And the next walking, we try to see what we see, it gets registered in our mind. Even a chirping of the bird, the leaf, the flower, the different types, characteristics of that plant. So that means, at the exclusion of all other thoughts, we are concentrating on that. Meditation. This is meditation. So all these things we have to employ, All these things, there is no other activity, only observing. So we are trying to train our mind without, in ordinary days, we are involved in activities. There we try in our own way. But on a particular day, suppose on a particular period, we try to withdraw from it and start observing it minutely. This is how the mind is slowly trained. And thus, when one feels the infinite bliss transcending the senses, he never departs from the same. Having obtained the blissful state, one is untouched by sorrows. He will not name it a sorrow. A thorn pricks, I get pain. I know when the thorn pricks, it will not give us anything sweet. So I try to accept and endure it, that's all. Not that the pain is not there, the endurance comes. I slip, I fall, I get bruises. I will not make an issue. These are some of the practical hints. Having obtained that blissful, one is untouched by sorrows. This yoga should be perseveringly practiced, undisturbed by the depression of mind, persevering. And 24 and 25, with the reason and intellect joined with will, with the mind fastened to the self, let one attain quietude step by step. Let him or her not think of anything else. So there should be an exclusiveness. Atma Samyama Yoga, we have to reread, especially devotees or sadhakas like us. It's a very, very important how to do it. Through whatever restless, unsteady mind wanders away, wherever wanders away, let one curbing it from the direct it to the self alone. I should be vigilant, that is the meaning. We are sitting for half an hour, that 45 minutes sitting session. We are trying to watch. Automatically the mind may go somewhere else. Sometimes, because our mind is not used to it, immediately we have to become vigilant and bring it back. The supreme bliss comes to the perfectly tranquil mind, free from the taints. With the mind concentrated by the yoga, with the eye, with the evenness of all things, with the eye of evenness of all things, he or she beholds the self in all beings and all beings in the self. Advanced state. Yapashyati sapashyati. One who worships me, who exists in all beings, whatever may be his or way of life, he or she lives in me. One who judges pleasure and pain everywhere by the same standard as one applies to oneself, that yogi is regarded as the highest. I bite a piece of sugar cane, I bite a piece of Karela, bitter gourd, no? Let us see how do we do. These are all some of the things which we can try. Arjuna talks about the turbulent and all these were heard, and then Arjuna says, nice to hear, but very turbulent, very difficult. So he says, though it can be controlled only by Abhyasa and Vairagya. Krishna also says it is very difficult. But through Abhyasa, and this is very important for all of us, regular practice and dispassion towards the sense objects, Otherwise, the sense organs will crave for it, Not forcefully, but by doing manana intently on the sense objects, I lose the I am able to control my attraction towards it. We will keep it in our mind. For one who Arjuna asked what will happen to such a person who has failed to perceive the yoga path till the end of life. Some solace for us. For one who strives self-redemption never comes to grief. 1%, 2%, 5%, 3%, 10%, nothing will go in vain. Great assurance for all of us. Nothing of what one has done good is lost. One day we observe Mount, it is credited to our account. One day we bring in that dimension in our activity, it brings credit to our account. It is not lost. There one is united with the intelligence acquired in the former body, strives more than before for perfection. By the previous practice alone, one is born on in spite of oneself. Many a time we used to wonder, how we get a breakthrough. When we strive for it, how does it come to? So here Lord Krishna says, you have done something in the past. Nothing will go in vain, that is elaborately explained. During that particular Janma, I would not have been able to derive it, but it is still there. It comes to me in the form of intuition, in the form of prompting. So whatever we do in the right direction, there is one more sloka where it says, Nahi kalyana krita kasyate, whatever you do good, I will protect it. It will not go in vain. So the yogi is striving assiduously, purified of taint, gradually gaining perfection through many births, then reaches the highest goal. We may not be able to reach the goal now, but when we pursue all these things, no good efforts will go in vain. Everything will be credited to our account. And finally, when He wills, we will consolidate our earnings. That is how it comes out in the form of Mahatmas, or what you call spiritually evolved souls. So from today onwards, when we start doing something on these, the crediting will start. Yogi is regarded superior to those who practice tapasya, to those who attain knowledge, and also performers of action. Finally, he stamps, 46 and 47. तपस्येभ्यो अधिगो योगी ज्ञानेभ्यो भी मतोधिगा कर्मी वृश्चादिगो योगी तस्माद् उद्योगी भवार्जुना भव तस्माद् योगी. The yogi is thought to be superior to the ascetics, even superior to men of knowledge. He is superior to men of action. Therefore, be a yogi. So finally he stamps this, this particular chapter. Be a yogi. Swami Ranganathanji in his commentary will say, be a yogi. Lord Krishna whispers in our ears, be a yogi, be a yogi. No, I am unable to hold on. Be a yogi. 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%. In one stroke, we may not be able to reach 100. So he assures us, be a yogi. Yoginam abhisarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. And among all yogis, He who, full of faith, with his inner self merged in me, worships me, he is according to me the most devout. In the previous stanza, if the previous stanza gives us a relative estimate of the different paths of spirituality, finally declares that meditation is the best among the lot, the stanza under review explains who exactly is the best among all the meditators. Meditation is, in the beginning at least, a deliberate act by which the seeker strives to keep his thoughts channelized into one predetermined line of thinking. And this is maintained by disallowing the mind running into dissimilar thought channels. Meditation, therefore, must of necessity start with an effort on the part of the meditator to fix his mind upon some object of contemplation or other. According to the nature of the object of contemplation chosen, and according to the nature of the persuasions adopted in curtailing the mind from its mad roamings, the art of meditation can be classified under different types. Thus, we have in the tradition of our practices meditations prescribed upon a symbol, on a God principle with a form, on the teacher, on the Kundalini, on any of the great elements, or on a chosen text in the scripture. Accordingly, the practitioners may be considered as followers of different kinds of meditation. The singer of the Gita is trying to indicate herein who exactly is to be considered as the best and the most successful meditator among the above mentioned types. In this concluding stanza of the chapter, the Lord insists that of all the meditators, he who with his inner self, that is mind and intellect, merged in the self and with Shraddha devotes himself to the self, is the most firm and steadfast meditator. The pregnant suggestions contained in this stanza can fill volumes inasmuch as it is a summary of the entire Yoga Shastra. Naturally, therefore, Lord Krishna dedicates the entire length of the next chapter as an annotation to this mantra-like stanza. For the purposes of our understanding this chapter, it is sufficient for the time being if we gather from this stanza that the essence of meditation is not so much in our attempts at integrating the mind as in the ultimate merging of the inner equipment and getting it completely sublimated in the final experience of the self. So this we have to keep on hammering. It can be done only by one who does proper bhajan upon the self with all Shraddha. That is the true declaration made with a loving insistence here. The term bhajan has come. Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. The term bhajan has come to gather upon itself a lot of interpretation. That the word as it is understood today means elaborate rituals, which almost always means nothing to the priest, nor to the devoted, or to the onlookers. Sometimes it means a lot of singing with accompaniments and an entire crowd roaring their way towards an emotional ecstasy, often ending in hysteria and exhaustion. And very rarely they gain even a vague experience of the spiritual thrill. Very rarely somebody will get. In the Vedantic textbooks, bhajan is the attempt of the ego to pour out itself in an act of devoted dedication towards the principle of reality, whereby it successfully invokes the experience that lies beyond the noisy shores of the mind intellect. One who does this invocation, bhajan of the self, and naturally gets himself merged in that awakening, is declared here by the teacher in the Gita as belonging to the highest type of meditation. Bhajan, Kirtan, Namasmaran, Papa used to say, are all means to that end. It is quite self-evident to every student of Vedanta that such a meditator comes to transcend all its identifications with the false matter envelopments and becomes, through the experience of his real nature, the very self. Yet, the mouthpiece Yet, Lord Krishna, in his modesty and reverence for the tradition in our culture, attributes his statement to his own personal opinion in this stanza. This is my opinion. He says, humble. According to me, in a humble way, he says, this is the, though he is the one who is giving everything, he is not forcing it as a dictum or a dogma. Every one of us has to work and bring it out. So he says, this is my yuktatamam mata. He is, according to me, the most devout. So the one thing, all of us should again go through this 47 slokas again and again. Up to this five, there are so many things, but we are actually, as a seeker, as a sadhaka, this 6th chapter gives a lot of clues and lot of, hints where to now improve in our effort to become aware of his presence within, and how to make use of our outer activities to help us in this karma. How to help our karma to become aware of his presence within. So with that bhavana, we suppose we go through again and again, probably we may be able to get the maximum benefit out of this 6th stanza. Now we will come to the learning in a short way. Already it's time. To transform karma to akarma, inward journey is a must. We should know how to make it effective. For the inward journey, along with the detachment from outer attraction, resorting to regular practices, the following 3 factors are essential: concentration of mind, moderation in everything, and equanimity. While detachment might appear as withdrawal, the practice actually brings out creativity. This can be likened to removing weeds from the field and sowing the seeds in the same field. When we want to sow the seed, first we dig, we remove all the weeds. And what are we doing? One set of weeds are taken out, and one set of seed is put. It also comes out in the form of weeds. One is destructive and this is constructive. So while detachment might appear as withdrawal, removing the weeds, the practice actually brings out creativity, fullness, about which we are not aware, the bliss absolute. That creativity comes only when this detachment takes place. So Vinobaji's beautiful example is this. People who have got this agricultural background know it directly. Before we sow the seed of paddy, we do the ploughing. We remove everything. Everything gets submerged in the soil, and with water stagnant for a couple of days, the entire thing gets decomposed, and then we again sow a seed that also sprouts. What is sprouted is removed and another is given for sprouting. Just imagine. A beautiful example for Vairagya and Abhyasa. So when we remove what is not given, so activities are there by which we try to gain the other one. So withdrawal, while detachment, detachment might appear as withdrawal, The practice actually brings out creativity. Practice also includes constantly contemplating upon the good and the noble. This is how Lord Krishna closes. Due to paucity of time, we thought of reading so many slokas. Let us see how Papa brings it out later. Now coming back again, some friends have already sent some slokas. Tomorrow we will take up this 1/6, one third of the Bhagavad Gita we have covered now. We have not covered, at least we have gone through now at the superficial level. So then we are now trying to enter it in a little more deeper way. So that is why yesterday we requested friends to go deep and find out which stanza and which chapter is getting aligned with our thinking. So kindly inform us. Some we have received. Tomorrow whatever we have received, we will try to pull it together and then try to take out something that is common to all. And we will have a quick recap of the whole thing, so that when we enter into the seventh is also very important. Seventh talks about what? Any idea? Huh? The title, what does it stand for? What are the key points? The other one is academic, stanza, also. Seventh, origin of all multivarious creations, para and apara. Source is one and the same. That is one aspect. Another aspect is how we can identify the common factor in the varied manifestation while all are apparently different from each other, resulting in the perplexity of our mind is the theme in the chapter. So before we enter into that, we will try to go through it again and again and again. Ananya Bhakti, exclusive devotion or surrender to God, which is talking about the death. Next, eighth. Eighth is about death. So seventh is about this para and apara. So let us try. What does it mean to us from Monday onwards? But tomorrow let us try. Everybody may go through from 1 to 6. Again pick a few slokas. Because we are trying to train our mind to enter into Bhagavad Gita. So this 6-day program should enable us to give the necessary motivation to enter into. So we will not be able to go through the entire 289 slokas. But there may be a few from each chapter which might get aligned to our thinking, our svabhava, our characteristics. Then we are trying to find out why did we choose it. If otherwise a random, if you are choosing, it will not have any deep impact. As we go through it, the going through, we are setting on a process. And when we go through that, something gets aligned to a particular stanza. This is nice. What is that? We are trying to find out. Why did we get aligned to that? So this is how the manana takes place. And we are slowly trying to taste something from the 289 slokas. We will try. We may not be able to fully succeed because it's our first attempt. We may not be, but let us try. Even if it doesn't yield anything, that process itself will definitely help us. And we will try to pick up something from each tomorrow and again share so that we prepare our mind to enter into the seventh. Hari Om. Om Shri.
Seventh chapter, one canvas.
They're beautifully brought out. Para and apara. So the sixth is very important of all this. Oh, sorry. Oh, I did not. Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om. Om. Namaskar, Namaskar, Namaskaram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai.
It's also fast, it seems.
Fast side though.
Still fast.
Sherry, Pandro. We will try to slow down the speed. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. I meant to come that fast, that means we are going deeper into it. Yes, he is now touching and kindling something in us. That is why we are not satisfied. That's a positive sign. Very nice sign. So we will try to improve. We will try to improve. Hari Om, Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram.
I put it in the back. I bring it in the back.